Welcome to the channel, you guys. It's your girl, Wicked Raider, coming back with another video. Trying to hide a few of these controls as we go. Want to talk a little bit about Doom Tower. So many of you have started doing your climb. You are enjoying that nice little auto feature, and you're coming to the point that you're thinking more about strategy. Early game, of course, you have those limitations across the board, but this is where I feel as though I really started to learn about my champions way more than I ever thought. Running campaign, running other areas of the game, you tend to lean on your one or two favorites. But when I came into the area of Doom Tower, level 40 is when it's going to unlock for you. If you haven't gotten there quite yet, especially on your newer 2023 accounts, it's coming. It's worth it. I promise you. So there are going to be some areas where you get stuck, guys, even on my pay to play accounts. I think the highest level I have reached so far when I was really focused was around maybe 41 to 51, but haven't made it to the top. It's a nice area to farm. There are going to be some rewards along the way, but usually you're pushing yourself because you really want to get here. You want to clear all the floors and earn every single fragment piece, every key, just a little bit of everything that you can in this particular area. So we're coming all the way back down because Doom Tower is always a beast. I've climbed to this point and then I paused myself because I came to Secret Room 1. If you are brand new to Doom Tower, Secret Room 1 can be a beast. And I'll be honest, the first time I came to Doom Tower, I was actually able to be Secret Room 2, 3, and 4, but had to come back to this particular secret room several times before ever beating it. Now, here's something that you're going to notice. This is a rare champion only room. You will hear so many creators talk about being mindful on your accounts about building certain rares, making sure you have the support that's needed, making sure that you're not just getting rid of everybody just to keep your legendaries and your epics. And here's the reason why. Now, this is my free to play account that actually started this whole YouTube channel in particular. And you'll notice when I slide over, there are several champions that I have 6-starred. I have 5-starred several champions as well. I've had some really good pulls. This is actually an account that I thought about just nixing and just starting from scratch, but I didn't because I started, getting the better pulls. I pulled Tundra, so many others. But in Rare Land, this is what I'm left with. Elhain was not my initial starter champion. So that was another one. So some of your champions, you may be like, oh, I really love this champion. Can't use them because they're not in the secret room. But then you have another champion, but guess what? 3-star, next to nothing on this champion. So I'm going to create a team. Guys, I even have a Diabolus, and she's only level 19. And look at who we're going against. Now, with each secret room, there, of course, is going to be a nice little catch. You're going to have the keys that are needed to run these rooms. These are going to be rooms also when you're looking at your competition. Just did a video on Avir Alchemage. This is another champion for the for Eviscerator. Eviscerator is one of those that I had pulled previously several times. Never kept this champion, always kept moving until actually one of my clan members was so thankful. She called it out and was like, hey, if you're pulling this particular champion, she has skills that are really good to counteract Death Knight, that can counteract Ronda, counteract so many of those newer champions that may be giving you issues in arena. And so I went back and I pulled her, started looking at her kit. If you haven't looked at Eviscerator, she has Bleed Dry, attacks one enemy, 2 times, has an extra 15% chance of inflicting a critical hit, has a 50% chance of placing a 2.5% poison debuff for 2 turns if this attack is critical. Now, 2.5% isn't going to be a lot. You can increase damage on this particular champion by an additional 25%. But keep in mind, we're talking about a rare attack champion. But the first skill was not what really brought in the attention. Lethal Confusion, a little book heavy ish, but still not bad. Attacks all enemies, has a 50% chance of placing a 30% decrease defense debuff for 2 turns. Now, remember when we were talking about the importance of decreased speed, decreased accuracy, decreased defense, when not only the increase becomes important, but the decrease becomes important. Having that defense ability will provide your team with time. A lot of young accounts are not going to have the speed that's needed. You can't win the speed race. Well, if I'm not going to win the speed race, and for example, this skill is on a 4-turn cooldown, if you take a look, there's no way for you to decrease the cooldown. I want to be able to use all of my decreased debuffs so that I can give my team that leg up. I want to be able to give the one champion that's probably on my team that opportunity to slide in and to do damage. So what we're looking for is maximizing skills. This is why Doom Tower, this is why Faction Wars will force you to build teams or will allow you to encounter teams that you may not have focused on at first. Lethal Confusion is a good one. It is an AoE attack. It does have that 30% decreased defense. Now, the debuff chance can be increased by an additional 25%. So you can get this up to 55%. Very helpful. We're all about it. You can also increase the amount of damage that is dealt by 20%. So depending on how you're building this champion out, for Eviscerator, if you are brand new, you're working like level 30, level 40, you're pushing through just those mid-range areas of the game. You kind of have a rhythm with you. I first built her out with existing artifacts. I didn't go in and build any new gear. I didn't upgrade anything because I was really trying to be silver conservative. So she started out with a very patchy set of gear. And as I've run her more, especially in arena, running her just more in campaign for a little support, I have been able to change those sets out accordingly. Once you're able to get into certain dungeons, your gear, guys, will definitely improve. Now, her passive suppression attacks an enemy champion with the default skill whenever they are healed or receive a buff. Attacks one random enemy if multiple enemies are healed or receive a buff at the same time. Suppression is one of those, this becomes helpful. It gives you that immediate image when you are thinking about certain enemies that you're going to be coming against. If she attacks an enemy champion with the default skill whenever they are healed, if you're on a team, for example, with Dur the Hungerer, if you're on a team with any healer across the board, they're going to be either healing one or all. And every time they do, she's going to respond. That response, the good thing about it is you're taking a look at this champion and I'm applying damage in the moment. So depending on how you choose to build her, it can allow you not only to create space with those decreased debuffs, but to also slide in for that additional attack. Now, will it be a huge amount of damage? The answer is no. I've never built her out to do that. But is it enough at the level where she is playing to be extremely effective? And the answer to that question is yes. Now, her aura is one that I appreciate. She increases ally crit rate in arena battles by 16%. For arena, I had to train myself to not go in with healers on my team. At the level that I'm playing in arena, having a reviver on my team in arena makes no sense. I am going in, hitting heavy from the gates, and attempting to win the speed race across the board. With that mindset kind of shift, I'm not going for longevity. I am going for fast, hard, done. My levels in arena, when I am consistent with it, have definitely improved. So we have Avir the Alchemage, we have Eviscerator. This guy, Fnatic. Fnatic is one I pulled recently on a free-to-play account. And his reviews aren't always great, but he is good in particular niche areas across the board. He is a support champion. So remember, we were talking about those different support champions in various factions, and he's going to be one of the few in the Shadowkin faction that kind of has a skill that's helpful. So for Devil Hunt, attacks one enemy, has a 30% chance of placing a 30% decreased defense debuff for 2 turns. Has a 30% chance of placing a 60% decreased defense debuff instead if the target is under 2 or more debuffs. Guys, decreased defense is a building skill. As you matriculate your way through, you're going to notice that decreased defense and block revive become really important to you. The damage that's inflicted can be increased by 10%, and the buff debuff chances can also be increased by an additional 10%. So if you're looking at it, you're taking my 30 to 40, my 60 to 70, and keep in mind, this is a rare champion. So yes, there are other champions out there that have a higher percentage available. As a support champion, we come in with Curse Bearer, attacks one enemy, and has a 75% chance of transferring 2 random debuffs from this champion to the target. We're going to give it back. Send it back to him. The skill can be placed on a 3-turn cooldown. The amount of damage inflicted can be increased by 10%, and then your buff debuff chances can be increased by 25%. So you're looking at 100% chance of transferring 2 random debuffs from this champion to the target. 3-turn cooldown. Think about that for a second. In Faction Wars, Fnatic has been an immense help, and Shadowkin is not a weak faction, in my opinion, by far. It doesn't have my most dynamic champions, but it does have champions that I have seen proven themselves in Clan Boss, for example, in Hydra. I promise you, don't sleep on this particular faction. We look at skill number 3, Rallying Cry places a 50% increased attack buff on all allies for 2 turns and removes 1 random debuff from each ally. And this can be placed on a 4-turn cooldown. What this champion does is create opportunity. Support champions fall into a couple of categories for me. Either you are reviving me, either you are not only reviving me, but giving me that turn meter boost, or you're providing me an additional shield for support. Or at this point in the game, when you run into champions like Fnatic, you are removing and replacing and doing all this transferring. Guys, this is where on those rare teams and those faction-driven teams, you want to focus in on ability. At least one of your champions should hit the support area and take care of that need. Now, Steadfast Marshall is one of those that as soon as you guys see him, a lot of you have pulled him before. I have pulled this guy several times. And honestly, I've never ended up keeping him. So he's one of those rare champions that could be amazing, potentially. But just at the moment, at the time, he's not what I'm looking for. So on the Bannerlord side, Thunderous Wallop attacks one enemy, has a 50% chance of placing a provoke debuff for 1 turn if the target's HP percentage is lower than this champion's. Now, keep in mind, this is an HP-based champion. The buff debuff chance can be increased by 25%, so that will get us up to a 75% chance. I am not blown away with the provoke debuff. I understand the importance of it. I know that there are champions. This also allows them to create that space by taking on the damage and encouraging that enemy to attack them instead, especially if you're good at either dispersing damage received or just doing a full absorption. But Hold Fast places a 60% increased defense buff on this champion for 2 turns and grants an extra turn. This can be placed on a 3-turn cooldown. This one is kind of twofold. The 60% increased defense is kind of nice. I do have some champions that, just based on lack of gear, they're not built out exactly as I would like for them to be. But the other thing is, if you have this buff going plus a support champion on your team, it does give you a better window to be a little bit more creative. Now, he does have a veil, places a veil buff on all allies except this champion for 2 turns. So 3-turn cooldown if booked. He's going to cover everyone, even though he doesn't cover himself. So it's kind of tricky. HP champions are not always the easiest champions to keep alive. The other thing is he has the provoke, so you're also encouraging additional damage. I will veil, but only veil everyone else and not me. So for my particular account, Steadfast Marshall was one of those champions. His kit wasn't bad. It just did not fit the needs of the teams that I had in my mind. Now, we're going to notice a couple of things as we go through this battle. I'm going to warn you guys up front. There's a 90% chance we're going to lose this battle, hands down. I do have Reliquary Tender, always helpful. Her kit is one of those that I promise you can most certainly be worth it. So looking at Reliquary Tender really quickly, you probably already heard or seen or something. Guys, my girl is just on this first skill. She is a little book heavy. Okay, on this first skill, I'm just saying we're 8 books in, she's getting it. Overall, though, not bad, roughly about 14 books. She will attack one enemy, has a 20% chance of placing a decreased attack debuff for 2 turns. If you are running Reliquary Tender for attack, no ma'am, no sir, not gonna happen, okay? The amount of damage that Reliquary Tender puts out is not going to be the most life-changing, mind-blowing moment. But Tender's Watch removes all debuffs from all allies. This one is helpful, and this skill can be placed on a 3-turn cooldown. Then places a 15% continuous heal buff on them for 2 turns. This is one reason why a lot of people like this rare champion. Gosh, she's a rare. And she's pumping out a skill that is easily booked, and also one that as you are working through and rotating other champions around her, it's worth it. It simply becomes worth it. Removing the debuffs is amazing. But even the continuous heal, which I wish there was maybe an additional 2 books on this one. If you could take it from 15 to maybe 25 or 30%, that would be OP, especially for a rare. Her 3rd skill is another one, placed on a 5-turn cooldown, revives an ally with 30% health and fills their turn meter by 30%. For a rare champion, you can't beat that. For a rare. Always keeping in mind, you're putting her next to rares like, oh God, come on, y'all. So we're going to go in, and she doesn't have an aura. So I'm going to put my girl there. The other issue that I'm running into is, you can see I have not upgraded a lot of these champions. Really haven't. I would like to 6-star these 2, but that's going to be a little rough. Rotting Mage is another one that I've had before, but I haven't actually seen very many people run Rotting Mage. And I'm really shocked. There are only 100 reviews. Kind of shocked. Rotting Mage, guys, isn't bad. Isn't bad at all. And I'll be honest, if you don't have a rare support champion and you happen to pull Rotting Mage is worth holding on to for a little bit. 13 books total. It does have a speed aura, which is always helpful. Attacks one enemy, has a 25% chance of placing a freeze debuff for 1 turn. And that's going to be Gillet Beam. You have Frost Armaments, places a 25% increased attack buff on all allies for 2 turns. Notice the extra support. Places a 30% increased defense buff on this champion for 2 turns. Now, these are 2 skills that we could actually get to overlap in this particular battle. This entire skill can be placed on a 3-turn cooldown. If you notice the train of thought and the amount of energy you're putting into this, these are all the decisions you are quickly making to just put a team together. But with your rare teams, you're really going in and seeing who can benefit one another. Mental overload. This is where it gets tricky. Attacks one enemy, has a 75% chance of placing a stun debuff for 1 turn. Mental overload, honestly, as a 3rd skill, is disrespectful. 6 books, even though I get it, they are rares. I could probably book this champion if I run long enough just on dupes that are pulled. But on the accounts I've had this guy on, I don't think I've pulled more than 1 dupe, and it's probably pushing it. I love the speed aura by 13%. That's always helpful. But stun has never been the most impressive skill. Now, I like the fact you can take this skill from a 75% chance all the way up to 100% every 3 turns. So it gives me a little space, a little breathing room. But I feel like mental overload needed one more thing, like it's missing something. So whenever I have a chance and I actually build this champion out a bit more, I will be tempted to put a blessing on them just to kind of see the difference. Now, I'm going to run over here really quickly to see if I could improve any of these little champions, to be honest. The answer is probably going to be no, not really. Because even if I come in here, yeah, we're not going to get too far. You know, this one boy is 4 stars, so we'll rock it. We'll wait for it. Just across the board, y'all. These rare rooms are going to be a work, but we're going to give it a go. So we have gone through a couple of champions that will likely fit. We're going to throw together a team because honestly, I don't have a lot to kind of pull from at this point. I'm going to throw a little support in there. There won't be enough damage. We're going to have a little bit of turn meter control. I'm not even sure if, oh, my girl even has, does she even have gear on her? This is how you know it's bad. This is how you know, guys. Elhain has no gear. I'm about to like straight run my girl as bare bones as possible. And of course, with her, she is an attack champion. I don't have a single book on her, haven't done anything with her. So I'm just going to run, scroll, find some gear to kind of smack on her. I'm not even sure where my silver level is sitting. I usually start toward the bottom. I don't have a lot of pieces that are built out on this particular account. I have been running this account more so in the area of campaign. So that's been another area that's been really, really important to me. I know I want to run her fast. And honestly, I'm almost tempted. Tempted to either run Avenging. I've thought about it. Retaliation is another one. It's another set that actually comes in handy, but I don't have the 4 pieces I would need to complete that set like I would want to. The poison always comes up. The stun is just never, ever my favorites. Now this one, Destroy Baby, kind of interesting on her. I don't have any great gear in this area though. A lot of flat stack gear that I could actually go through and get rid of. Just have not on this particular account. I think most of my best gear is already, this is a little speed as a substat. Most of my better gear is already on various champions. Now, you will notice that some people will like unequip and move gear around on their champions on a regular basis. I don't do that a lot. I kind of like this one. We might go with Relentless. I don't do that a lot. And as you guys can see, honestly, I don't have a lot of silver to pull from anyway. It becomes really, really expensive to kind of unequip and re-equip champions on a regular basis. And I know people that do it quite a bit. And I'm only going to go in and just add that one. But you have to be really, really careful about that. Because number one, we all know that silver is so hard to come by sometimes that it's just ridiculous. And so I'm really kind of like this crit rate one. The attack is a flat stats. This one does have a little speed. Neither one of them are great. And that's kind of the thing. You go back and forth. But if I am switching gear, you get to the point, guys, where moving gear can be 20, 30, 50, 70,000 silver. That's a lot. That is a lot. So I want a little defense on this chest. But yeah, we're gonna just put this baby in some gear. It's kind of what this is looking like. It's not gonna be our best run, but she will likely sit in this little gear for a while, and then we'll come back and switch her out later on. I will normally put a champion in a basic build. That basic build is normally just to get started. So that way I have some kind of base to move from. And then I will go back little by little and start pulling out sets that I'm more comfortable with, more excited over, and I will focus more on those sets. I'm going to go in and sell a bunch of stuff that I just don't even want to make eye contact with. Because if I see it, I'm probably going to equip it and I'll be mad at myself a little bit later. I'm trying to only keep my 5 and 6 star. It took me a long time to get to the point that I was willing to actually purge 4-star gear. That was really, really scary for a free to play. And for those of you guys that are just starting out, you probably know exactly what I'm talking about. I'm not crazy about the resistance. Crit rate is 7%, but I do want the speed. I know, not the best set, but we're going to go for it. So even with purging gear, as I'm gearing up for this particular battle, it's hard because you always have that feeling of, well, it's not a horrible piece and I could keep it and use it here. But guys, I'll be honest, you're going to notice you never go back to it. You just don't. And so what will end up happening quite a bit. I don't care about the crit damage, to be honest. Oh, did I just equip that? I did. And I'm not gonna unequip it. I'm just not gonna do it. But you will become so, limited silver wise that you will find yourself in a consistent deficit. And that becomes hard. You can't upgrade like you want to. You're not able to pull the champions that you may necessarily want to. And so I try to reserve my glyphs for my level 4 and above, preferably 5 and above. And then I will go back in and really try to focus myself on what's necessary, what's needed. I'm going to see if I have any speed gear that I could fill in with, and I do. And I do. Has a little attack. It's all flat stats. Crit rate. It's rough, y'all. It's rough. It is rough out here. Little speed there. Just trying to pull the best pieces you can without literally using every dime that you have is going to be a big one. Now, resistance wise, this is going to hit a lot of other areas that I'm probably ill concerned about. I'm going to equip there. We're going to just pick, and I'm just going to pick you because we've already got a little speed and we want to get to rolling here. Now, have I gotten rid of gear that I wish I had not purged? The answer is yes, absolutely. You will notice it as you continue to move through. And we're going to go back. Everybody should have gear. I just want to make sure because I have run teams and figured out. I'm sitting there wondering, like, why is my champion struggling so much? Like, they're having such a hard time. And then I realized they're struggling. Like, they literally have no gear on them, dude. None. I'm going to try to keep this guy alive, to be honest. With your rare champions, there is a huge push to simply keep them alive. I am torn. I don't know if I should run this guy because he's level 40. I don't think I have any gear on him either. And I'm pretty sure you guys have pulled him. You pulled Blood Mask before. Blood Mask was not my favorite champion. I'll be honest. It doesn't make me want to rush out, but he already has gear on him. So we're going to give him a go. We're going to put him in first, see how this goes. So now, probably 15 minutes into this video easily, we're going to run this battle and just see if we can make it through round one in particular. Speed wise, this team, oh, wow. Wow. Guys, it just took El Hain out, like out, one hit wonder, so deep. Definitely not going to finish this battle. But Reliquary Tender is going to throw out the continuous heal. This gives you an idea of what this first secret room looks like. I think this is one of the toughest secret rooms out of all of them. I may try to actually see if I can run to the second one just to see how much better it does. But with rare champions, this is what it looks like. Yeah, this is bad. This is bad. So boom, we made it 43 seconds. My girl did not. Like her little 3 stars, there is no way. I would have to go back and really run probably both her and Riding Mage and campaign, try to bump both of them up. Look at Reliquary and Tender. Support is there and that's helpful, but defense, no. Damage dealt, no. This is what it feels like. Now, compare this to being able to go here and to go in. It's night and day. And honestly, I don't even know if this team would be my best team for this. I just don't run this champion very often. I'm going to run this one just because. So, and I want to say maybe on this one, yeah, I need to switch this team out as well. I was trying to see who was delivering the most damage and then switch them out. But as you're working through your rare rooms, guys, those secret rooms are going to take you a little bit. You are going to have some moments where you must upgrade your rares to level 5-star and 6-star. So don't hesitate on that one. I'm not going to make this one any longer, but if you are climbing through Doom Tower, keep in mind what champions are available to you. Keep in mind exactly what they're going to need in order to overcome. As you can see in level 6, these guys are at level 140, but in that secret room, they started at 145. Tundra is already down, so we're not going to make it very far in this one. I've had a couple of battles along the way where Deliana is my last standing across the board. Sometimes she can pull it out, sometimes she can't. But this will be one where I will adjust and add a support champion. I'm researching and looking to a video just going down all the support champions. I will probably release those videos per faction is what I'm thinking. And so we'll do a comparison for each faction, just looking at support champions in general. If you've made it this far in, thank you so much. Be sure to subscribe for me. And as always, happy gaming.